Hello everyone, welcome. So I guess you all are aware that we are discussing the questions related to RBI Grade B Officer Examination Phase 2, and in the previous videos the other questions have been discussed. So in this video we'll be carrying forward with question number 15. So in this question that we have, which of the following statements is or are not correct regarding to the report of Rangarajan expert group on poverty in India? Number one, it used nutrition spending and consumption behavior for estimating poverty in India. Number two, it computed the average requirement of calories, proteins, and fats on the norm set by the Indian Council for Medical Research in 2010. Number three, the energy requirement as calculated by Rangarajan is 2.090 kcal per person per day in rural areas. Chhattisgarh has the highest incidence of poverty, and number five, which is all of the above. Now let's come to the conclusion of this answer. The energy requirement as calculated by Rangarajan is 2.155 kilocalories per person per day in rural areas and 2.090 kcal per person per day in urban areas. So this is significantly lower than the 2.400 kcal in rural areas and slightly less than 2.100 kcal in the urban areas used by the earlier Lakpadala panel. So the reason given is that the age profile and working conditions have changed with time, and accordingly, in pursuit of time, this change has been accepted. So accordingly, we will decide that number three has been our correct answer. The correct answer to our question number 50 is number three. Next, 51. The next question we have is 51. The Suresh Tendulkar Committee computed poverty lines for 2004 to 2005 at a level that was equivalent in dash terms to $1 per person per day. Number one is HDI, number two PPP, number three GDP, number four CPI, and number five is NNI. So the committee chaired by Suresh Tendulkar computed poverty lines for 2004 to 2005. Now at this level, that was equivalent in purchasing power parity, which is PPP terms, to $1 per person per day, which was the internationally accepted poverty line at that particular point of time. So accordingly, for this question number 51, the correct answer is PPP, which is the purchasing power parity. So we mark this as our answer. PPP is the correct answer. Next, moving on to question number 52. With reference to the purchasing power parity, which is the PPP, which of the following statements is or are correct? Number one, it is a technique used to determine the relative value of different currencies. Number two, PPP exchange rates help to minimize misleading international comparisons that can arise with the use of market exchange rates. Number three, the 2004 to 2005 Tendulkar poverty line was rupees 66, which in PPP terms is equivalent to $1 per person per day. And number four is both 1 and 2, and number five is all of the above. So in this case, PPP refers to a method used to work out the money that would be needed to purchase the same goods and services in two different places. Across countries, this is used to calculate an implicit foreign exchange rate, the PPP rate, at which a given amount of money has the same purchasing power in various other areas or various other countries. The 2004 to 5 Tendulkar poverty line was rupees 16, which in PPP terms is equivalent to $1 per person per day. Right. So accordingly, I will say number 1 and 2 both are correct. That is The correct option is then number 4, right? That it is a unique technique used to determine the relative value of different currencies, and also it exchange rates help to minimize the misleading international comparisons that can arise with the use of various market exchange rates. So I will mark number 4 to be my correct answer. Both 1 and 2. Right. Moving on to the next question. Question number 53. According to Jeffrey Sachs, the extreme poor lack in which of the following types of capital? Firstly, human capital, business capital, knowledge capital, only 2 and 3, or all of the above, which is the correct answer. Now, Jeffrey Sachs, in his famous work, that is the very famous work of The End of Poverty, How We Can Make It Happen in Our Lifetime, that was released in 2005, mentions that the extreme poor lack 6 major kinds of capital. Human capital, which includes health, nutrition, and skills needed for each person to be economically proactive. Next, he's talking about business capital, that is the machinery, facilities, motorized transport used in agriculture, industries, or various other service sectors. Thirdly, he's talking about infrastructure, that is road, power, water, sanitation, air transport, seaports, telecommunication systems that are very important inputs into business productivity. Next, he talks about national capital, that is the arable land, healthy soils, biodiversity, well functioning of ecosystems that will provide the environmental services needed for a perfect society. Next, he's talking about public institutional capital. That is the commercial law, judicial systems, government services that can help a person to get judgment, policies that are very helpful in giving peace and prosperous divisions of capital, all these. And lastly, he talks about knowledge capital. That is the scientific and technical know-how that raises productivity in its business output, and the promotion of physical and natural capital. So these are the 6 capitals that he talks about. So accordingly, out of these 6, all the 3 out of that is mentioned here. That is human capital, business capital, and knowledge capital. So accordingly, we will go with the 5th answer, that is all of the above. Next, coming to question number 54. Who said fruits of liberalization have not adequately reached the poor and the people living in rural areas? Inequalities have increased. Manmohan Singh, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Pranab Mukherjee, Montek Singh Ahluwalia, Bimal Jalan. So this is one of the very true concepts, saying that a very famous speech of fruits of liberalization. This was given by our former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee in his Independence Day speech. That is the 15th August speech of 2001, in the year 2001. So candidly, he stated that the fruits of liberalization have not adequately reached the poor and the people living in rural areas. Inequalities have increased. It would therefore mean that it was futile to pursue the failed strategy of liberalization, which has a focus of only a few percent, that is 8% of labor force in the organized sector. The need for that hour was to take care of the 92% labor force that is engaged in the unorganized sector. So it means a lot of importance to be rested on it. So therefore, our answer to this is definitely number 2, that is Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee. So we will mark this as a correct answer. Yes. Next, moving on to question number 55. By the internationally accepted definitions, which of the following persons are deemed to be in the labor force? Those who are available for work, those who seek work, those who are actually working, both 1 and 2, or all of the above. So we are talking about the labor force. By the internationally accepted definitions, all persons who are working, that means who are having a job, and though not working, are seeking and are available for work, are deemed to be considered in the labor force. Correspondingly, all those who are not working and are neither seeking nor available for work are considered outside the labor force, and hence uh, they are not to be counted or do not figure in the employment or unemployment statistics. So accordingly, all of the above will be our correct answer. That is 1, 2, 3, all are correct. So we will mark this as our correct option. That is option number 5. Next, moving on to option number 50, question number 56. Which of the following indicators is or are not used to assess labor market conditions? Labor force participation rate, that is the LFPR, work participation rate, that is the WPR, capital formation, unemployment rate, or none of these. Okay, so the correct answer to this is capital formation. Now I will give you the explanation of why I am considering this. Let me mark this. Yes. Actually, let's consider eliminate one by one option. The labor force participation rate, that is the LFPR, work participation, WPR, and the unemployment rate, that is the UR, are few of the major indicators which is generally used to assess the labor market conditions. The LFPR is obtained by dividing the number of persons in the labor force with the total population. Right? WPR, on the other hand, is obtained by dividing number of persons in the workforce with total population. The unemployment rate, how we obtain this? This is obtained by dividing the number of those unemployed people with the total number of persons in the labor force. So that is why the correct answer to this question is option number 3, that is capital formation. Next, moving on to question number 57. Yes. Which of the following statements is or are correct regarding the employment-unemployment surveys done in India? A. In India, employment-unemployment surveys are conducted by the RBI, or the Reserve Bank of India. Beginning with 27th round in 1972 to 1973, labor force surveys have been conducted every 3 years. Unemployment is measured through labor force surveys that elicits the activity status of the respondent for a given reference period. So accordingly, we have various codes, only A, both A and B, only C, both A and C, or all of the above. So for this, I will say A and B are incorrect statements. Only number 3, that is option number C, is correct. Okay. That is, this part is only correct. That is, unemployment is measured through labor force surveys that elicit the activity status of the respondent for a given reference period or for a specified time. Now, coming to the explanation of this, why am I saying this to be the correct option? In India, employment-unemployment surveys are conducted by the National Sample Survey, which we say this as NSS, or the National Sample Survey Organization. Beginning with the 27th round, which was in the year 1972 to 1973, labor force surveys have been conducted every 5 years using standard concepts and procedures based on the recommendation of the Committee of Experts. So that is why option number C is the correct one, which is only C. I will mark this as my correct answer. Next, moving on to question number 58. Which of the following has been observed to be the most inclusive rate of unemployment? 1. Usual principal status, UPS. Usual principal and subsidiary status, UPSs. Current weekly status, CWS. Current daily status, CDS, or none of these, which will be the correct answer to this. So it has been observed that the estimates based on daily status is the most inclusive rate of unemployment, giving the average level of unemployment on a day during the survey. It captures the unemployed days of the chronically unemployed, the unemployed days of the usually employed who became intermittently unemployed during the reference week, and unemployed days of those classified as employed according to the criteria of current weekly status. So therefore, according to this, we have option number 4 as the correct answer, that is CDS, or the current daily status. So we will mark this as current daily status. Next, moving on to question number 15. Which of the following statements is or are not correct regarding the estimation of unemployment on the basis of CDS, or current daily status? So we have to mark the one which is false for us. So firstly, these are computed on the basis of information on employment and unemployment recorded for the 29 half days for the reference month. It does not accord priority to labor force over outside the labor force or work or over the unemployment. It is related to person days, not person. And number 4, the Dantawala committee proposed the use of CDS rates for studying unemployment. And number 5 is none of these. Current daily status, the CDS, right? If when we are talking about the current daily status or the CDS, it is regarding to the unemployment, where it is computed on the daily basis of the information on unemployment and unemployment recorded for 14 half days of the reference week. The employment status during 7 days is recorded in terms of half or full intensities, and are more but less than 4 hours is taken as half intensity, and 4 hours or more is taken as full intensity to this calculation. So accordingly, we have the first answer only to be the correct one, that is these are computed on the basis of that is not true, that is 2, 3 and 4 are all correct, only number 1 is false, which is the answer to this question. That is, these are computed on the basis of the information on employment and unemployment recorded for the 29 half days of the reference month. This is the false answer. So we will mark this as our answer. Now moving on to question number 6. Agencies like ILO, which is the International Labour Organization, use estimates of employment and unemployment rates based on dash reference period: daily, weekly, fortnightly, monthly, or quarterly. Right? So I will say this answer is weekly, right? Weekly. Why? I will give you a very simple example. Whenever laborers get their payment, you will see their wages are calculated on weekly basis, right? So from that explanation also, you can refer to this answer, that this will be on weekly basis, since ILO is related to labor and laborers usually get their payment of wages on the weekly basis. Apart from that, agencies like ILO, which is a very famous organization, they use estimates of employment and unemployment rates based on weekly reference period for international comparisons. In India, a person is classified to be in labor force as per current weekly status, that is a CWS. If he or she has either worked or is seeking and available for work, at least for 1 hour during the reference period of 1 week preceding to the date of the survey. So accordingly, we will take our answer to be the one, that is the B. That is number 2 is the correct. So in this video, I have given you discussion or relevant answers up till question number 60. So I hope all the answers have been clear and clearly explained to you without any confusion. So I hope you continue carrying on watching the videos. In the next set of videos, I'll be coming up with the other questions. So till then, thank you for watching. Keep watching the videos for the rest of the questions and thank you.